What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. So this is a little bit of a precursor to whenever I go through my 53-man roster projections. But the Jets may have a secret option to start on their defensive line, assuming Haason Reddick continues his holdout into the regular season. Worst case scenario, we do get Haason Reddick before then, and we feel like he's capable of handling starter reps. This is a guy that can definitely get a bump up in the defensive line rotation. So Takk McKinley, former first round pick. Keep in mind, he's on a bit of that Aaron Rodgers timeline, right? Hasn't really played a significant, meaningful game since 2022. He's done phenomenal in training camp. When you want to put it in relatively simple terms, between 14 practices, not counting OTAs and whatnot, keep in mind he also arrived late in the offseason, but in 14 practices in 2 preseason games, he's gone from being an afterthought, a former first-round bust, if you will, that people thought could potentially rekindle his career into at least a solid player, to now us having these conversations around him potentially being a starter, potentially being a significant option in the rotation, right? And I'm talking about worst case scenario, the third or fourth best pass rusher that we roll out in our rotation, right? It's obviously going to be Haason Reddick, pending him seeing the field. Jermaine Johnson continuing his ascension, or at least maintaining his level from last year. And then it's between Will McDonald and it's between Takk McKinley. And at least up to this point, Takk has experience and history on his side if you want to give him the leg up. And arguably, he's had one of the best camps of the defensive line, right? For those that have been keeping track. Multiple sack day outings during camp, at least 2 or 3 days where it was mentioned he had at least 3 sacks apiece. And then you want to take a look at his preseason performances to really help put him over the top. Right now, there's a small divider for those that want to compare him to Will McDonald as opposed to anybody else, which I would say definitely makes a ton of sense. Throughout the preseason, McDonald has seen 28 snaps in the 2 games, whereas Takk McKinley has seen 37. So 9 more reps, excuse me, shouldn't be a significant amount more opportunities for him to rush the passer from that dimension of things, right? But when you want to take a look at what he's been able to put on tape so far, strong run presence, right? This conversation really comes about from the fact that right now Michael Clemens is starting, and I think there's a serious conversation to be had about if he even makes this roster this year, especially considering some of the unenviable situations he put himself in that the coaching staff may not want to deal with, right? Taking a look at the Panthers preseason fight, for example. Takk McKinley, he's had one of the fastest get-off times in the NFL so far. 0.71 seconds has made him good for 6th best among 153 edge rushers that qualified. And then you want to take a look at what he's done in the pass and the run game, right? 25% pass rush win rate. This not only is tied for the best on the team with Will McDonald, but overall, excuse me, overall, it's nice to see that he's doing much more than flashing, right? At this point, you can say that he's consistently produced from training camp to preseason game to joint practices, etc., right? Every avenue that we've given him the opportunity, we've seen him ball out. Considering the wide 9, we know that Robert Saleh seems to have an affinity for guys that can bring speed. They have an element of power, or can build an element of power into their game. Obviously need to excel as being a pass rusher, ideally. And then there's the run component, right? Being able to set a strong edge and being able to get after the ball. And we've seen Takk check off each and every one of these boxes, not to mention the fact that he's one of our bendiest guys, even at the ripe age of 29, I believe it is. So 76.5 PFF grade as a edge rusher overall, puts him 11th best out of 150 guys, and he's also one of our most capable run defenders at the moment, right? Actually, specifically, I think that actually was his run grade and not his overall PFF number. So I would roll the dice here, honestly. If Haason Reddick isn't suiting up week 1, I would potentially roll out a starting line of Jermaine Johnson, Quinnen, Kinlaw, and Takk McKinley. And, you can dice up those reps to split those between Takk and Will McDonald and see who has the hot hand there, so to speak. But this is a great revelation for us, right? This once again just shows the prowess for this New York Jets defensive staff, at least to be able to bring in guys, whether it's last minute, whether it's on the fly, whether it's a long-term approach with a guy like Tony Adams, for instance, and be able to churn out things pretty quickly, right? Again, Tony Adams is really one of the best case studies here in that he went from undrafted to 2 years later being a starting option in this defensive line. Definitively, realistically, the safety competition has been between Chuck Clark and Ashton Davis, as opposed to Ashton Davis and Tony Adams. So very excited overall. Let me know what you guys think as a whole, though. Takk McKinley, are you starting him? Are you just kind of stashing him as one of your premier backup options to attack the defense once they're tired? Or do you think there's a possibility that maybe he doesn't make the roster? And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.